Good morning. Welcome to DNN's product launch webinar. My name is Navin Nagiah and I'm the CEO of DNN. I have with me here today our VP for Product Management, Will Morgenweck, and our co-founder and VP for Technology, Joe Brinkman. We thank you for your time and we thank you for your interest today. We are delighted to be with you this morning. So as you watch this webinar today, if something that we say or share catches your fancy, please share your feedback on Twitter with the hashtag DNN9, and you can also tag @DNN Corp to be eligible to win a prize. So the next 45 minutes, we'll go over our company's vision. We'll tell you exactly what excites us and what problem we're trying to solve as a company. We'll also tell you our thought process behind Evoke 9 and DNN 9. We'll show you what our products offer a business user or a marketer. We'll also show you how our products make the lives of IT professionals much easier. As a company and as a group of people, we are genuinely passionate about content in all its forms. We love to understand how different types of content is created. We love to understand where they're placed online, why they're placed there. We love to understand who consumes the content and why. So as a group of people, we love content, yes, but we also love technology. We are consumed by building software that makes this entire process of content management, creating content, publishing it in different places, and monitoring its effectiveness. We live to build software for content. Now, if you take a step back and think about it, every minute of every day, 2.5 million content items are shared on Facebook. 300,000 tweets are sent out. 72 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube. 220,000 photographs are uploaded or shared on Instagram. This is every minute of every day. For those of you who are more from the business to business world and who are thinking, well, this is all consumers sharing cat videos, I have news for you. The business world is catching up. The B2B world is catching up, and very rapidly at that. Even if you consider well-formed, thought through, and well-written articles, there are close to 100,000 that are created every single day. The Washington Post alone, a news organization, they publish 2,000 articles online each day. So I think it goes without saying that there is a huge content explosion. In the middle of this content explosion, think about the challenges every company faces. Think about the challenges you face as a marketer, you face as an IT professional who's trying to support your business users in having a great online presence. How do you as an organization stand out? How do you even find your customers or prospects online? What content do you create? How much of it do you create? How many times do you publish? Where do you place them? How can you attract a prospect, customer, or even an employee's attention? How can you keep their attention? How can you keep them engaged? This problem that I just talked about, has not been solved in its entirety. Solving this problem is why we exist. Solving this problem is what gets all of us up in the morning. This is what we're focused on. Solving this problem of connecting content to revenue for organizations. This is our focus. Everything else is secondary. Our endeavor essentially is to help organizations maximize the revenue opportunities for any and all business content that they create. Now, before we go into 9 and the thought process beyond 9, I want to stop for a second and I want to thank the people who have been with us on this incredible journey. I want to thank our ecosystem, our partners, open source community members, module vendors, skin vendors. These people, this ecosystem, has been responsible for standing up close to 120,000 websites that are based on our products as of today. These are 120,000 sites that are live today. I also want to thank our customers. Our customers are located in a lot of different countries around the world. I want to thank them for the support and for the business. When you buy our product, by buying our product, you invest in us. And we have never lost sight of that. We will never lose sight of that. Thank you. So, what was our thought process behind 9? Let me share with you how we see the market, what our perspective of the market is, and how it informs the decisions we made in terms of what to build and how to build an Evoke 9. The first is, I think this is something that all of you can relate to because this is true of all of us as well. Today's consumer is highly distracted. Think about how tethered to are to the online world. Think about how tethered we all are to the online world. They're at a checkout line in a grocery store, and the line is taking a bit too long. They're bored. They open Facebook, read a few things, and they like something. Or they're going home in the evening, waiting in a traffic intersection. They check email, or they text somebody. In the evening, they're having a conversation with a friend. They're reminded of something. They immediately flip out their phone, go to the browser, Google it, read it, research it. Or sometimes maybe later in the evening, they're cooking in the kitchen with their spouse, and suddenly one of them remembers they need 2 bags of Tide, and they basically ask Amazon's Alexa to send it across. Now, take a step back. This is the consumer all of you are trying to reach, all of you are trying to talk to, all of you are trying to engage with. It's not about this consumer just being offline and online on the desktop via a browser. They're online everywhere in a myriad different forms. They're highly distracted. They go online not for an hour at a time. They go online in small 2 to 5 or 7 minute chunks. They connect to the web via apps, via the browser, via chat, via text, via clicks, via voice. This is a consumer we are trying to reach. This is a consumer that all of us are trying to reach. And this consumer has no time. They're highly distracted. They want to be engaged right away. You have to be able to give them the content that is relevant to them in their context at that time, or they're gone. That is your challenge. That is also our challenge in terms of building software that helps our customers interacting with and engaging with these kind of consumers easier. Now, so that's about the consumer. Now let's talk about the content they consume. The content they consume comes in the form of different things, whether it's a tweet, a link on Facebook, a photograph, or a web page, or something they're looking at in an app. The content comes to them in a variety of different ways. So when you think about that, the content itself cannot be tied tightly to a web page. The content essentially needs to live on its own. It can't be tethered to a web page. It can't be tethered to a website. It can't be tethered to any specific channel. The content has to be completely independent of what happens when you deliver the content. So why should it be independent? So that it is easily portable, so that it is easily reusable across different pages on your site, across different websites that you may own, across different social channels that you may have, and even across different apps that you may distribute. The content has to be independent of your online strategy. So when you do that, the content essentially becomes measurable across the entire spectrum, across all the channels. So in a sense, the whole content explosion we talked about is very real, which essentially means that if you need to stand out in that world, you need to create content that is of extremely high quality, which also means the whole content creation process itself is expensive, which means when you invest a lot in your content strategy, you have to be able to use it and reuse it in as many times as possible and in the best way possible. The third trend we see. Now, if we look back at the evolution of the software industry, there was on-premise, which owned 100% market share, and then SaaS began to take hold probably a couple of decades ago, in the late 90s or so. So SaaS has gone from having 0 market share to almost 50% market share as compared to on-premise as of 2016 in the last 2 decades. However, what is important to watch is what is happening next. There's a very interesting new trend that is even more interesting than SaaS that is catching on. The concept of building every software feature as a microservice that's delivered via the cloud on a multi-tenant scalable architecture. Think about this. This is not about an application or software being delivered as a service. This is about every feature being delivered as an independent microservice. With this approach, you can build features that can be delivered to multiple applications. Now, this is the approach we have taken with 9. Quite a lot of the functionality that we have built in 9 have been built as independent microservices, like structured content, forms, analytics, and these microservices are currently being delivered to our Evoke products. We plan to do other interesting things with these features in 2017, like making some of these features available to other applications. So there are so there's a lot of things that you can do with this, and we're very excited about what this will enable us to do as we go forward in 2017. The other important thing I want to make point I want to make here is, earlier you were either on-premise or you were SaaS, and if you had on-premise software, you had no choice if you wanted to go to the cloud to either go into hosting mode or spend a lot of time and energy in trying to make the software SaaS. But think about what microservices does. Microservices allows you to scale even your on-premise applications because some specific features of the on-premise application can now be delivered via a scalable architecture in the cloud. That changes the game dramatically. The fourth trend we are seeing in the market is related to data. It's related to analytics. If you think about how analytics are moving in the market in general, they're moving from initial fixed or snapshot analytics here. Essentially, the vendor, like ourselves, creates a set of reports and makes it available to you. And you can take a look at the report. You can maybe download the data in an Excel spreadsheet. And if you want to manipulate it more, you play with your Excel spreadsheet. So there's some data portability. The next step in this journey is to be able to do real-time, user-defined analytics, where you can create reports dynamically on the fly, very specific and very custom reports that you need, that a business user can himself or herself do without any help. So you can essentially slice and dice the data in any number of different ways. And we see this further moving towards what we call AI or machine learning based analytics. Here, the computer essentially becomes a second brain for the business user or the marketer, where while they are looking at the data and trying to come up with action items and insights, the computer or the system is also recommending action items and providing insights. So in effect, the thought process itself, the thinking bandwidth itself is expanded. So this is the direction in which analytics is headed. Now, one of the reasons we do all this, the consumer is distracted, we can capture a lot of data and we can do very interesting analytics. So, and the content creation itself is becoming expensive. All this becomes relevant because if the consumer has very little time and you have a lot of data about the consumer and about the consumer's environment or context, you've got to be able to give the consumer exactly what they want. So personalization in the last year or so has gone from initially being one factor or three factor based or five factor based to multi-factor based. But where it's going is even more interesting. Personalization is essentially going to a point where it becomes extremely deep and profound, where the software system has a very good understanding of the personality, the likes, the dislikes, the proclivities, the behavior, the patterns of the consumer, where the software system essentially understands the consumer better than they understand themselves. So one of the things that we have done with Evoke 9 is we have done deep content instrumentation. We capture over 365 parameters on both the visitor and the content. And the reason we're beginning to capture this information is this will open up a world of possibilities in terms of the value we can add to customers like yourself going forward in the realms of deeper personalization, in the realms of content insights, content analytics, lead and visitor insights, A/B testing, and so on. So Evoke 9 essentially is a landmark effort for us. It's been in the works for a while now, and it caters to both the business user or the marketer and the IT professional. First, I would like you to meet Sarah Drake. Sarah is a content manager. She's one of 5 content managers in the group. She reports to the VP of Product and Content Marketing. And Sarah loves content. She loves writing it. She loves reading it. She loves thinking about it. She loves the whole 9 yards. She, in some ways, is very similar to somebody you probably know very well, our own Dennis Shaw, who eats, lives, and breathes content. Her buzzword is engagement. She wants her readers to connect with her content. She's passionate about making sure that people read her stuff and can relate to it, and they like it, and it's relevant to them. Engagement is so important to her that if she could write content specific to every user, she would. The other focus she has is productivity. She gets a lot of content requests from sales, from the demand generation team in marketing, and even from other business users, and sometimes from her superiors. So she has a continuous content request pipeline that she has to deliver on. So one of the things is she's constantly looking at ways to speed up the process of content production. So if this is what Sarah is passionate about, if this is what she does, and if this is what she likes, what does she not like? She does not like reading software user manuals. She does not like watching user videos. She loves software that is simple, that is super easy to use, that almost sits in the background and lets her do what she loves doing, which is creating content. Next, I want you to meet Ben Henderson. He's an IT manager. He has a team of 6 developers. He manages about 5 different websites for his company. Each of them have multiple applications. Needless to say, Ben loves technology. But even more than technology, this guy's an IT manager. He interfaces with the business side. He loves to use technology to empower his business users, to make them self-sufficient, to make them more productive, and to make them tell him that he makes their life and jobs easier. Needless to say, being an IT manager, he gets a lot of requests. He's got a lot of projects. He's working on a lot of projects. His team is working on a lot of projects at once. So execution is his focus. He likes anybody and any tool and any software that helps him get things done. So what does he not like? He does not like software that is rigid, that's not malleable. He does not like vendors that tell him that their software does everything and that his team has to do next to nothing. Over his career, experience has shown him that any business software that claims to solve every single problem for every customer is not true. That is never the case. So he knows that he and his team have work to do, and they exist for good reason. So to show you precisely what Evoke 9 does for Sarah and Ben, we have our VP for Product Management, Will Morgenweck. Over to you, Will.
All right, thank you, Navin. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to show you the True North website. This is a creative digital agency, and this is the showcase site that we're going to use for the Evoke 9 demonstration. And today I'm going to start off using Ben Henderson. As Navin just described, he's the IT manager for True North. And True North is now running Evoke 9, and Ben is really excited about some of the new enhancements that he's seen in Evoke 9. As you'll notice, as Ben is logged in, Ben is actually the super user of this site, and you'll see that Ben has a completely new experience now where he can come in and quickly access all the key items that he needs to manage his site. We have access to all of our content, all of our pages, and we also have access to managing users, roles, and also sites. And as Navin mentioned, Ben manages several sites for True North, and here are just a couple. And this is the new way that Ben can come in and start to manage the different sites that he has in just a few clicks. He can easily see key information about these sites, and as his business expands, he'll be able to search and easily categorize and manage traffic and manage the settings of these sites. And managing settings is very easy for him. He can access these items very quickly. So for example, here we have the True North site, and we have our site settings for this, and for some reason it says my website. Let's go ahead and change this to True North. And very quickly, as he makes those changes, we'll just scroll down and we'll save, and then those settings have been updated. And if he needed to go through any of the other sites, he can just quickly navigate and make those changes without having to switch context, log out, log back in. Makes it very easy and fast for him to manage that. Now, another key functionality and some of the things that Ben does as he's managing the True North Evoke installation is managing users, roles, and permissions. And with Evoke, we have a very great way of managing and classifying your users using roles. Roles can be used for managing who can access content, who can edit content, and who also can view content. And this is what it would look like out of the box, but of course you can customize this and manage your permissions as much as you like. You can create unique roles, and you can get very granular with how you manage that content and who has access. You can go all the way down to the individual content block level and choose who can view and who can edit that content. So what we're going to do now is Ben has just finished giving his marketing department an overview of some of the new capabilities in Evoke 9, and he's going to give them a quick access to be able to do that. So here, all he has to do is expand the content manager's role, and we're going to add Holly. We can see there's Holly's name. We just click on this and click add, and Holly's now a content manager. And let's go ahead and add Denise. We search, we have her name, and we can add. Now, you'll notice he was able to do all of this right in one setting, didn't have to jump out of different screens, wait for screens to refresh or reload. It was very quick and easy for him to do that. Now, there's a lot of other great capabilities for Ben to take advantage of, but we're going to spend the rest of the demo focused on the content manager, and we're going to use Sarah. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is we just come over into users here, and we're going to go ahead and let's just quickly log in as Sarah. And once we're logged in as Sarah, Sarah now has a similar experience to Ben, but now this has been crafted just for Sarah as her role as the content manager, so that Ben knows that Sarah can't accidentally delete a site or go in and accidentally do something to the site that would cause him some pain. It makes it very easy for him to control what she can do. So Sarah, of course, she's the content manager for True North. She manages quite a bit of content on the site. And what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through just a few of her day-to-day activities as she's managing the site. So one of the things that Sarah has done is that she's asked some of her customers to submit testimonials on the site. And just a few moments ago, she received a notification that a new testimonial has been submitted from Shelley, the CEO of Cavalier. And we're going to show you that in just a second. But what I want to mention is the way that Sarah was doing this before is that she had a form on the site. Customers would come in, fill out that form. Sarah would get an email. She would then have to take the content from that email and convert it into HTML and then publish it in the site. But now with Evoke 9, Sarah has improved that process. She's created a form that will show up over on the work page where people can come in and submit testimonials right on the site. So customers can now create those customers and streamline that, create those testimonials and streamline that process and actually help Sarah create that content. But obviously, we don't want to have content immediately show up on our site as customers are submitting it. So let's take a look at how that flows. So if we come over here into our content repository, we can see that we have some content in place, and here we have that new testimonial that came in from Shelly. So we can see that Shelly's name, her last name, her title, the company she's with, and we can also see the testimonial that she submitted. If we needed to change any of that, we could. That all looks good. We're going to go ahead and set this as a priority. There's some extra fields on this content item that we don't want to let our customers update. Let's go. We're not going to make this featured yet. And let's go ahead and finally we want to go ahead and tag this. Now that looks good. Now as soon as we go ahead and publish this, what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and update on our site for us. If we come back over here to our home page, we'll notice that just down below here, we now see the Shelly Davis testimonial that was submitted, and that's now live on the site. And we'll also, if we go back over to the work page, where we're also showcasing some of the testimonials, we'll see that that's down here in place for us too. So in just one quick step, Sarah was able to go in and publish that content in a much faster way than she was doing before. So another challenge that Sarah had in the past was the way that she was building out some of her content and having it designed. So many times she would have to create the content, send it off to her designer, wait to have that page or content layout created, then break that down into some HTML blocks and then get that published on the site. Now since Sarah's been using structured content, she can now have that complete separation between her content creation process and her design process, which allows her to get some work done in parallel. And let's take a look now at how Sarah does that. So if we come over here, we'll go back to our content items library, and we can see that Sarah already has a portfolio item or a case study that she's been working on. And this is how she goes ahead and creates the elements of this new content item. So you'll see that we already have a title in place. We also have a reference here to the client Cavalier Company. So this means that as she's building out this case study, instead of having to enter all that information about Cavalier with every case study, she can just reference it, and then if she needs to update it, she can update it in one place. If we scroll down a little lower here, we can see things that we have the title, the summary, and then we have the description. Now, what Sarah wants to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some images here. And let's go ahead, and what we're going to do, we just go ahead and select that. And we have our small image. We're just going to take that, drag that in place. That's going to upload for us. Let's go ahead and take this large image, and we'll put that in place too. And now those images are immediately uploaded for us right there in line. We can hover over the little thumbnails, and we can get a preview of what that content is going to look like. The priority looks good. Now, one thing we want to do before we publish this is we want to go ahead and add some tags to this. Let's go ahead and tag this. This case study is really ideal for CTOs, CMOs. It's also good for targeting our customers in the US and the UK. And let's also tag this with Cavalier Company again. So now that we have that created, this all looks good. We're ready to publish this. We can go ahead and click Publish. And then this piece of content is now going to be live on our site. And if we come over here to the work page, we'll now see that the case study is now live and available for other people to come in and take a look at on our site. Now, one of the things that you probably noticed is that we were building out some tags on that content. We tagged our testimonial, and we also added some tags to that case study that we just created. And one of the great things about taking a look at the way that we're using structured content is that we have the ability to filter the content based upon those different tags. So this allows Sarah to really start to personalize some of that content and make sure that she's delivering content that is optimized for her visitors. So using our personalization capabilities in Evoke, Sarah has set up a couple of different rules here. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see that we have some personalized pages set up. And she has a personalized view for people coming from the US and in IT, and also people coming from the UK and CMO roles. And so if we take a look at what one of these rules looks like, we can see that it's very easy for her to set this up. Now, when they're asking people to fill out forms, and when they're also filling out the profiles for their customers, they're entering the job title, and that then sets a cookie. So as that visitor is navigating through the site, we'll know that it's a CMO or a CTO. And then we've also set it up to filter by the location of the United Kingdom. And so now what Sarah is able to do is she's able to go ahead and deliver that. And let's take a look at this particular page here. And we can see that this is the page that someone coming from the UK and that has the CML role will see. So Sarah knows that they're going to get to see the content that is most relevant to that particular visitor. Okay, so Sarah has been going through and building out quite a bit of content for her customers. And there are times when some of the True North account managers want to showcase a particular customer or maybe a project when they're working with a particular prospect. And so what we're going to do is Sarah wants to create a showcase page for each of their customers, and I'm going to walk through what it looks like to do that. And as we're doing this, you'll notice that Sarah's not going to create any new content. We're going to be able to reuse all of the content that we've created. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new page, and this page we're going to call Cavalier Showcase. And we can leave pretty much everything else alone. Let's just scroll down here at the bottom and let's choose the True North main template. But let's also set our permissions and make sure that all users can see it. You can see we've got quite a few different permission options that we can choose from. And let's go ahead and now we're going to click Add Page. Now that page is immediately live for us. And let's go ahead and drag this on top of Our Work page. And you'll notice that that is immediately updated for us, and it takes us right to that page and puts us into our editor mode where we can start adding content. Now, as we're reusing content, with structured content, we use what we call visualizers. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to click on this little shortcut, and I can add a new module. And in this case, we're going to choose the visualizer module. Now, visualizers are the design layer that allows for that content to be easily transformed and repurposed without having to alter any of the underlying content. So when we talk about separating content from the design, the visualizer is something that we can put on top of the content to have it in a variety of different designs. So here we're going to choose an individual content item, and we're going to choose a client, and we're going to choose the client summary visualizer. And right now we have the Cavalier company. Let's just select Cavalier. And now what that's going to do is that's going to show up right here in the page for us. And we're going to add a few other pieces here. We have some projects, of course, from Cavalier. So now we're going to choose another visualizer. But this time we're going to use a list visualizer. This will allow us to show a list of different content and items. And we're going to choose the portfolio item here. And now we're going to choose the project summary. And now you can see we have quite a few projects in here. We don't want all of these to show up. We only want the items from Cavalier. So we'll go ahead and filter that out, and that's going to give us 3 projects. We'll leave that, all the other settings. You can see that we can sort and we can set up a detail page if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and click Apply. And now that's in place for us. Let's go ahead and drag that in place. And you can see now we're starting to get all the different projects that are coming in that Cavalier and True North have worked on together. And let's go ahead now. The other thing, we've got some testimonials, of course. So let's pull in those. But instead of showing all of our testimonials, we're going to use a list again. And we only want to show the Cavalier testimonials. So let's go ahead and we'll filter again. Oh, wrong filter. And you can see now we're getting Shelley. Now we're doing it this way so that we've also asked other members of Cavalier, we've worked with their CTO and other members of their team to come in and submit testimonials. And when they come in, that means those testimonials will automatically appear for us as well. So we're going to go ahead and click Apply on this. All right. So now that visualizer is in place and we're showing the testimonials. And then finally, we also want to showcase our team members, and we'll be able to highlight the team members that have worked on all the different Cavalier projects. Once again, we're going to use the list visualizer type. And now we're going to choose a person. And we're going to choose the project team members visualizer. And here are all the Cavalier employees, but again, we only want to show the ones that have been working on the Cavalier projects. And so we'll go ahead and click Apply. And now those are in place. So we've essentially created an entire page that's about all of our content about Cavalier, and we haven't had to create any new content. And now all we need to do is go ahead and click Publish, and this page will now be live on our site. Now, one last thing to call out here is that we know, Sarah knows that Cole just recently got a promotion. He's now a senior copywriter. And so what Sarah can do is she can go over into the content items, and let's go find Cole. And here we go. And let's go ahead and update his title. And so now that that's done, we can go ahead and just click Publish on this. And Cole's title's been updated. And if we refresh, we can see that now it's been updated. And also over on our About Us page, oops, wrong link. On our About page, it's also been updated as well. So this makes it, with using structured content and having that separation from your design, it makes it very easy to manage the content and have it updated without having to go to all the different places on your site and create and manage that content. Now, finally, let's talk a bit about how Sarah ensures that her site is producing results. Now, Sarah uses Google Analytics, but she's always found it difficult to find some of the information that she needs. She's also found it a bit cumbersome and difficult to wire up all the different pieces of content that she wants to track, and also tracking some of the conversions from her forms. But now with Evoke, that's gotten much easier for Sarah to manage that. So Sarah can use Evoke to quickly access the different information that she needs all within her site. So we're going to go and take a look at our Contact Us page. And one of the things that Sarah has done is she's recently launched a campaign trying to get additional prospects to come in and fill out details and request a project. So with this, what she's done is she's set up using the Evoke form builder, and she's filled out the different details. And as I mentioned before, you can use the form builder to both capture content and also capture information. So let's take a look at that form. And then from here, we can see we have our Contact Us form. And if we look at this, we'll see the different details, and we can see all the different items that have been submitted. And we can see how long it's taken people to fill out the form, the time to begin. We can manage some of these columns here. We can take out columns if we needed to. We can then go ahead and let's see how long it took them to complete the form. And this will tell us exactly how well our form is performing for us. So we can see in this particular case, it took James about 1.5 minutes to fill out the form. And then we can click on this and we can get full details about that completion, and we can see the message that he left right there in place. Now, it's one thing to see the data that's coming in, but we also want to see some of the analytics around it. So from here, we've looked at the entries. Now we want to see how this is performing. From here, we can just quickly hover over this little card here, and this is going to tell us about this particular page. And this is one of the great things about Evoke and the way that we surface analytics, is that we give you the analytics right in context. So instead of what Sarah was having to do before, is go over to Google Analytics, filter by a particular URL, she can now do it very quickly just by navigating to any page on the site. She can get a quick snapshot, and then she can click on the icon and she can get full details about how this particular page is performing. So in this particular case, we can see our page views, we can see our traffic trend, our engagement trend, how this page ranks up with other pages on our site. And let's go ahead and do some filtering here. So we're going to go ahead and filter this by our campaign, and that's going to start to bring in some of our data. And then let's go ahead and filter this by channel. And so we can see exactly how well the project request campaign that Sarah is running is working. So we've had 10 page views, 6 visitors. She's only launched it a couple days ago, so this is really starting to show some results for her. And as she scrolls down a little bit further, she can then see how people are navigating to this page using our visitor flow chart. On the left-hand side, this is how people are getting to the Contact Us page, and on the right-hand side, this is how they're leaving. And we can also see some of our conversions. And if we scroll down just a little bit further, we can see exactly how people are interacting on this page. So we've had quite a few people hit that click button. And then the other thing we're doing too, and this is just one example of how deep we're getting with instrumenting the content in Evoke, is that we're actually showing how far a person scrolled on that page. So we make it very easy to see if people are actually reading your content in addition to the time on page. We're looking at that scroll depth too. So this is just one particular page that we can see how Sarah's overall traffic is coming in. But also, Sarah wants to take a look at how the site is performing overall. So Sarah can quickly go over into the site analytics area, and she can look at those insights and see what different items and things that Evoke has identified of areas that are important to her. So we can see things like pages that have had the highest number of conversions. We can see how many visitors are coming in. And this is really just going through several dozen different insights that Evoke can help Sarah understand within her analytics. We scroll down a little bit further, we can see some of the top 5s, and so these are key elements that Sarah wants to see, so she can see any type of changes or updates within her content and within her site. We can also go over into our conversions here, and we can see exactly how the site is converting for her. So again, let's go ahead and let's just filter this by device type. We can see how device traffic is coming in. And let's go ahead and change this to medium. And we can see things that are coming in like Facebook posts, emails, referrals, and based upon the different devices. So Sarah has a lot of flexibility in the way that she can filter some of this traffic and seeing how things are flowing through her site. So, with that, there's lots of features that we have in Evoke 9. We'll talk about when we get to the end of the webinar. We still have more to show. We'll talk about how you can request a custom demo. But, Navin, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've got almost 700 attendees watching us. And I know one of the items that we've talked about is some of the prizes that we're going to give away. So I'm going to hand this back to you, but we're going to transfer back to slides here real quick. Navin, I'm handing it back to you.
Thank you, Will. You made Sarah smile, and I think you made Rose smile. So good job. Thank you. So you just saw Evoke. You saw how easy it was for Ben to easily administer multiple websites to do permissioning. You also saw how the content was disassociated or decoupled from the page itself, thereby making it very easy to reuse the same content again and again. You also saw how it was easy to update content, because when you have one content block that is in 3 different sites and 6 different pages, you only need to change it in one place, and the change ripples through. And also, you saw the power of analytics. First of all, the thing I want to emphasize here is the analytics you just saw is being delivered as a microservice, which means even if what you're using with Evoke content or Evoke Engage is on-premise, it will do nothing in terms of taking more processing power or any such thing. The analytics is also based on standard Google Analytics data, and it's way more insightful and extremely easy to use. So that's what we've done with Evoke. So you saw the functionality we've built there. But let's take the next step. What is behind the covers? I think I said a while ago that people, experienced IT professionals like Ben, know that while a software can do a lot of things, it cannot do every single thing they want it to do, which means the ease of extending what we do to fit your custom needs is extremely important. So the question is, can you as a developer build something similar that we don't offer? Or can you build something similar on the platform as a community member? How easy is that? Now, to go with that, let me introduce you to Joe Blackburn. Joe, as you can tell, is a quintessential technologist. He is super passionate about web development. He is somebody who likes to improvise. He's constantly looking for newer and better ways to do things. He also loves software that is extensible, that is malleable, that easily adapts to whatever he wants it to do. And he's also a guy who fervently believes, like a lot of developers do, that computers listen, computers talk. You just need to know the right language to talk to it. So with that, I'm going to hand this off to our own Joe Brinkman, our co-founder VP for technology, to tell you how it works behind the covers and what you can do with it.
Thanks, Navin. While we're getting the demo set up here, give me just a second. So we're going to be talking today about DNN platform and DNN platform version 9. So we saw earlier the demos from Will, which were really awesome. I'm really excited about a lot of the Evoke features that we have, but I'm equally excited about all of the effort that has gone into DNN platform version 9. And this really speaks to the developer in me and also the developer in Joe Blackburn. And so before we dive into some coding, Joe just wants to get a look around the website and get a feel for some of the capability in DNN 9. So let's go into this brand new administrative experience we have in DNN 9. And the thing to note is that it looks very similar to what we have in Evoke, and that's purposeful since everything that we build in Evoke is built on the foundation that is DNN platform. And so when we come into the persona bar, we're going to get a very similar experience as what we saw in Evoke 9. So I'm just going to come in real quick, and we're going to start looking at some of these features. Let me just do a quick page reload here to make sure we've got everything loaded up. Oh, and I need to log in. I'm logged out. So we'll go ahead and log in here and give it just a second while our site warms up. And we'll go ahead and get logged in. Okay, so now we can go ahead and come to our pages. And again, notice the speed. We saw that a lot on the earlier demo that Will gave. And as I go in here, I can look at my pages. I can look at my page settings and see sort of how this page is set up. So let's go ahead and add, we want maybe content managers to be able to come in here. So I've got a couple of custom roles that I've added to this site. So we're going to add content managers, and we're going to let them view and edit this page. We'll go ahead and save that. And then while we're there, we also want to take a look at the appearance of the page, because I want to maybe check out what the theme is set up for this page. And so the nice new preview of the theme and what the settings are for this page is a nice visual indicator of how we have configured the page settings in this site. So let's look at a couple other features. So we come in here, look at our users page. Switching from feature to feature is faster than ever. So we want to go in here, and I actually want to give one of our users and make them a content manager as well. So I'm going to do a search. We'll find Mike Thomas here, and we'll also make him a content manager so he can start managing this page as well. So we'll go ahead and add that role in there, and just look at how fast everything is going on the site once we get into that persona bar. So we've added the content manager. Let's go ahead and take a look maybe down at some of the themes. Again, this is everything that we're seeing here is brand new in DNN 9. We have completely rewritten the entire user interface so that it is much easier to use, fewer clicks for most common elements. Changing settings in the page is very fast and responsive. You can see those changes taking place nearly instantaneously and getting our previews. We can go down into site settings maybe and look at some of the features. Here you see probably some of the bigger changes that we've made in reorganizing things from previous versions. We get nice new visualizations of the images and easy behavior. We can look at some of the different behaviors and stuff in the site. Even the languages area, you see us start bringing all of the features together in one place. And all of these features are awesome. All of these features are very visual, very fast, but I'm a developer. Joe Blackburn is a developer, and what we really want is the ability to quickly and easily develop some features that live in this area ourselves. Give me just a second while I switch over here to my developer machine. So I've got Visual Studio up here, and what I want to do is see how quickly or how easy it is to go ahead and create my own extension that's going to live in that persona bar. So I'm in Visual Studio. I'm just going to go to New Project, and we'll go ahead and create a brand new persona bar extension. I'm going to use one of the new extensions that we have in DNN 9. And where's it at? Not sure where it's disappeared to. We'll go ahead and skip this part of the demo. And we'll just go ahead and show you what that looks like. I'll figure out what's going on with that. There's always a little demo bug that always happens, but here we've got that same project, although I've gone ahead and completed out some of the changes. Some of the things to note is almost all of this is built using just standard HTML with some JavaScript. In this case, I'm using Knockout, but you could be using anything. You could be using Angular or React. We've actually built out a lot of React components to be able to use with this. And just so standard front-end development techniques that are available today, talking to back-end web services. So all of that allows us to get that speed that you see. So let me go ahead and just build this out. And this should just take just a second to go ahead and build and compile that project. So while that's compiling, let's go ahead and shift back over. That'll finish up here in just a second, I'm sure. Let me just escape out of that so we can get to our desktop. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and install this extension that I just built. I know it's back there building in the background, so I will go ahead and add this extension here. So we have a whole new extensibility model in DNN 9 for our persona bar, and so I can come to the persona bar, I can see what's been installed, and I can go ahead and install one of these new extensions. So I've got this this one that I just built. Now the feature that I wanted to build was, how could I, as a person working on the website, how can I quickly see and interact with my issue tracking system? And so Joe went ahead and built that out for us, and this is going to go out to Jira. It's going to get some data for us and display it in the site, so I can see what issues I have on my website that I want to go ahead and fix. So we'll go ahead and just finish installing this. And in just a couple of clicks, we've gone through installing that new extension. At this point, I'll go ahead and reload my page so that it reloads my persona bar for me. And while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and go over here to a new documentation center that we launched earlier this year. And the documentation center, as a developer, this has a lot of the documents that I need to figure out how I design and how I build things that integrate with DNN. One of the ones that I really like is this new feature that this new style guide that we have that shows me all the styles in the persona bar. And those styles, everything from the colors that we use to the size of items on the screen, all of that's available to me and is just an example of some of the documentation that we're making available for our developers. But there's a lot more here, whether you're an administrator, content manager, designer, developer. check out the documentation center. So we've got our website, it's reloaded, and I can go ahead and go in and see now this new issue tracking feature that I've just built and added to the website. And so that really shows you not only the power of the persona bar, but how easy it is to go ahead and develop new features and install them in the persona bar. And we'll have a whole new webinar sometime early next year where we'll go into a lot more detail about this specific feature. But with that, we're ready to turn it back over to Navin. Navin, I'll give it back over to you to close us out.
Thank you, Joe. So in about 60 seconds, I want to explain the approach we have taken to 9 and the approach we take to building products in general at DNN. So first and foremost, it is extremely important to us to make a product very easy to use. So people can do what they allow and not worry about learning software. We're also very focused on making sure that our software is extremely applicable and relevant to our customers. This is a combination of both building the right things in the right way, but also making sure that people like Ben can extend the software in the way that is most suitable for their business users. And finally, one of the questions we constantly ask ourselves, and the product team is held accountable to this, is are we building this in a way that will add more value for any dollars that a customer invests in the realm of marketing software? We're very focused on having a superior ROI. So this is a quick summary of Evoq 9. The green shaded items are the ones that are new, and the other ones are the ones that have been enhanced. We will have more information on this on the website, but Evoq 9 and DNN 9 is a lot more than this. What we showed you was what has essentially been enhanced or new. But if you're interested in taking a look at the product in its entirety and are interested in a custom or one-on-one product demonstration, please send us a note at sales@dnnsoftware.com. So we thank you for your time this morning, and we wish you a wonderful rest of the day.